This video is part 2 of the 4.2a lesson. I'm going to go over graphing inequalities and graphs of inequalities. Right underneath 11c where we left off, we're going to fill out a couple of things regarding graphs. So we'll take a look at this first graph. This first graph, we see that it's actually shaded or filled in to the right. So we're no longer just putting one point or a series of points on a number line. We're actually putting a lot of points. We're shading it in. We're saying that all of these values work. And these values are larger than 2. So this first inequality is actually the inequality x is greater than 2. We want values that are bigger than 2. And notice how we left this open. That means we actually don't want to include 2. That 2 is not actually greater than 2. This is actually a boundary point. We see that down in the second example, the boundary point is filled in. So that means that we're going to be using one of the inequalities that has that half or part equal sign on it. And it's shaded to the left, which means we want all values that are smaller than 2 or less than 2. So this inequality is x is less than or equal to 2. Remember in the first video I talked about how you want x to the left when you're writing these inequalities. So it says, how are inequalities shown on the number line? Let's answer this question. Inequalities are shown with an open or closed dot or boundary point and a shaded section or region or part of the number line. You'll notice there's an arrow at the end of those shaded sections to show that they go on all the way out either to the right or to the left. So what does an open circle mean? It does not include that number. And so we'll be using that when we're using is greater than or is less than. Those are the two inequality symbols that mean we're going to have an open circle. What does a closed circle mean? Well, it means that it includes that number. And we'll be using that when we see these inequality symbols. Is greater than or equal to or is less than or equal to. So on to the next page, let's look at some examples. It says graph each solution set on the provided number line. So the first one, number 12, it says x is greater than 2. So that means we're going to have an open circle at 2. We want values that are bigger than 2, so we're going to go to the right because values to the right get larger on the number line. So we're going to shade to the right, and we're going to draw an arrow to show that it goes on forever to the right. We're going to skip down to 14. Y is less than or equal to 2. We're going to put a filled in circle at 2 because it includes that point. And we want, it says y is less than or equal to 2. We want smaller values. So we want to go to the left because that's where smaller values are in the number line. As we go farther left, we get to smaller numbers or values. Let's look at 16. Whenever you notice that a variable is not on the left side, the first thing we want to do is rewrite this. So we're going to rewrite this, and as we rewrite it, you'll notice that we need to change the way that the inequality sign faces. So this is actually the same statement, just rewritten, and it's easier to graph it in this form. So x is less than negative a half. So negative a half is between negative 1 and 0. So we'll put an open circle there because we don't want to include that boundary point, and we want values that are smaller, so we're going to go to the left. Go ahead and pause the video at this point and go back up to number 13 and finish problems 13 all the way through 19 because we did 2 problems like 18 and 19 on the previous page. When you've tried those problems, unpause the video and please check your answers. Let's see how we did on those problems. So you tried number 13. It was an open circle at 1 and shaded to the left. You also tried 15. Hopefully you rewrote it. And since it now reads b is greater than or equal to -3, you put a filled in circle at -3 and you shaded to the right with an arrow on the end. And number 17, y is greater than -1.5. So open circle in between -1 and -2 and shaded to the right. Number 18 and 19, looking at these graphs, we see an open circle. So we're either dealing with is less than or is greater than. And since we're going to smaller values, values smaller than 1, we're going to write it as x is less than 1. The last one you tried, we have a filled in circle. It's shaded to the right, so we're going to have values that are either equal to or greater than -3. So it's x is greater than or equal to -3. So that's the end of graphing. There's one other part to this lesson, part 3 video, so please watch that.